You don't want respect, you want appreciation. Appreciation is respect. Everybody has a mission, everybody has a talent. Follow your talent, just go out there and just do it. There's a will, there's a way, but just go and earn it. Don't cheat it. When I grew up in the Montebello area, there were lowriders and there were muscle cars. The cool thing about lowriders and why they became my favorites is because they're family-sized cars until you lower them, then you bring out all the dynamics of the body style. They're sleek and they're low and they open up a certain way and they even look more sexy. So to me, that's what I liked about the lowriders, besides all the colors you can put on them. The cars were lowered and they just looked crazy. They looked like UFOs just landed. That's what it looked like to me, and I really liked that look more than a Mach 1. And I seen all these clubs, and me and my brother, we would just take model cars and shoot flake paint over them, find cotton from the medicines, and take that and stick them in the wheel wells, because that was a style back then. And stick tires on there upside down. Next morning, we get up and then flip the car over, and wow, look how that looks. And that's those things, looking at the model cars, you could take any car, lower it on the floor, and the design of the car just looked evil, looks crazy. So I loved them. I have a 1968 Cadillac Eldorado. This car is chopped about 3 inches, has a slanted windshield, suicide doors. It has a full glass roof on it. I changed the frame. Everything is custom. The car is completely one-off. The interior is a Ferrari tan leather, which I designed after the 2016 Cadillac CTS-V Coupe. So the whole dash is done by the Engel brothers, and we designed and did the dash out of metal. I also did the same thing when we dropped in an LSA supercharged engine in it. You can see there's 14-inch wire wheels on the car. The car was painted candy red and some other mixture of colors by Paul Stoll, who's from PPG. I always wanted a red from back in the days when they used to have all the poisoned lead materials. So he had his own little concoction that he designed inside the training center, and he painted it for me. I'm also well known in the lowrider industry for 2 other cars. One is a '79 Lincoln Continental, and the last version, which became a lowrider of the year, was called Las Vegas. And this car was full custom. It had a suicide door, a door that folded down. It was a crap table, as everybody knows. It had vintage slot machines in the back, roulette table for a console, 21 table for a dash, and it had all the murals and themes from all the latest casinos that were in Vegas, including a showgirl in the front of the hood. That was a one-of-a-kind car for its time. The other well-known car now that dates me, it's a 1971 Buick Riviera that I have, and that one is called Dress to Kill. It was also themed out. It was in candy tangerine. Like, I did it in a graveyard theme with some guy playing with sunglasses crying, a ghost, and the whole theme went in there all the way to the coffin. Seats were done in velvet leather. It won its fair share of awards, and that still will be my all-time favorite, because you never forget where you first started. When I grew up in the Montebello area, there were lowriders and there were muscle cars. So I got my fair share of looking at lowriders too. I wanted to get a square-looking car back in '73, '74, and it was an LTD. Went down to a car lot, took my dad with me and my brother, but I couldn't get it. My dad goes, "They want too much for it." I go, "Well, how about if I get the Buick?" And my dad turned around and he goes, "You want that one?" I go, "Yeah." So I knew if I went Buick, he was ready to co-sign, and I drove right off of that thing. And I'll never forget going down the street through Whittier Boulevard, taking home thinking, I didn't know if I fit in. I had long hair. That was the style then. I was white complected, so what is he doing involved in this? He doesn't belong in this. And when people would see me in it, I thought I was gonna get dirty looks. You get accepted. You're one of us now. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. All that matters is the colors on the cars. My dad is Irish-German, German-Irish. He was from St. Louis, Missouri. My mom was born in Los Angeles. My mom worked at a malt shop by the old winery in LA, and my dad took a train after the war came out here, met my mom, and within 2 weeks they got married. My dad was a truck driver. He worked very hard. I think 3rd grade he put us in Catholic elementary school, St. Thomas Aquinas. Becoming an altar boy, and I really did honestly like. In fact, I think I was serving Mass until I was about 18. I just didn't want to let it go. going through Catholic school and being an altar boy, if you served the mass twice, it was a sin. So I'd run in the confessional and do a confession and come on and do the mass again. And when freshman year began, we had a brother there that asked, is anybody here? We know that there's a few of you guys who want to become a priest. So I raised my hand, me and two other guys, and he goes, come with me. So we went out in the hallway and we're just talking. He goes, across the street, there's a girls' high school, Sacred Heart. He goes, it's full of girls. You guys, at the end of school or recess, they come walking by here. You should look at them and make sure you guys know what you're doing. And that kind of helped along the way too. So, I thought about it and I just put it to the side. I saw girls and I changed my mind about certain things, and then I just went on from there. And then, you're young and you're in love. Gone were those priest days. So I had a small family already in my senior year. And you do the best thing back then. Back then it was the right thing to do. I went out there and I got a job. Things don't always work out. Responsibilities come first, and I had the fork of the road. I had to make a right-hand turn, unfortunately, at that time. I'm sure that depressed my parents. That's not what they wanted. That's not what my dad worked hard for. He kept my mom at home to keep that house right. The next thing you know, through his business, he gets me a job working at a restaurant supply store. And then my mom, Mijo, your dad, he's seen you today working. He went by and, that's not what he wanted out of you. He didn't want you to do what he does. And I kind of let him down, though I didn't know that. I was making pretty good money, and it was feeding my hunger to build the cars. So I worked for Northrop a couple years, and it was time for my dad to go, man. And he just goes, I don't want to do this no more. I'm going to let it go to you and your brother. And I'll never forget the day he gave me the keys to his truck and goes, here you go. I took over that business all the way through for 25 years. I did everything he did, and, he passed away. And I know to this day that when he went, his mission in life was to give us a better life, and that life was not to follow in his footsteps. I just lost my mother not too long ago, but she lived almost to about 89. There wasn't a day she didn't miss my dad, and I used to always go back and, what did Pop think? What did Pop say? He got hurt, Mijo. He wanted you to become somebody. You were supposed to be the one. My dad, if he's seen me now, then, he's got to be proud of where I'm finally at. But he knew I had the cars. I think he thought I was insane about cars. That's all I cared about. And I think he understood the club and how I owed them and how I would never leave them, because he liked those guys too. And he never bothered me about that. But it's the things he never told me. And I got it now, as you grow older now, I realize a lot more how my dad really was with me, how he brought me up, why he's my hero. Even in his last days, all he just said is, Joe, just be good. That meant everything to me. I'm gonna lose it. After graduating from high school and all of that, you lose your friends. So I had like 4 or 5 good friends left, and I always had this one friend that I always went to school with that I always looked up to. It was Raul Gross. And I'll always remember I made a phone call one time. Hey, what are you doing? You still doing anything? I'm painting my car, Joe. We're going to rename the club. It was New Life. It's going to be called Lifestyle. I got into it. I joined. I became president in about a year and a half. When Lifestyle started, it was a good car club. I think we took over the #1 spot, and we held it for a long time. We represented LA. It was us against the world. That was my mentality. Out of the 43 years in Lifestyle, I was probably president for 35. I turned into a dictator, a communist. I've been called all kinds of names, and that's who I was. And that's how you had to do things with Lifestyle Car Club. I mean, I used to yell. It was military, but it was always about quality and setting the trend. We had to be the first ones to do this and do that. And then Lowrider Magazine approached me, and they asked me to get into their Hall of Fame for a leadership award. It was a highlight in my life, and as things went on down the line a little bit, I was approached again and offered to become editor of Lowrider Magazine. Being the editor of Lowrider consists of many jobs. I make the selection on the cars. I try to mix up the colors, years, and makes. I push for everybody that deserves their car club or their car to be in the magazine. And as years have gone by, then I became also the tech editor. I help a lot with the shows now, with the entries, the judging, the move-in. I tape down the Vegas show. I also attend Autorama shows. And as I go out, I get to meet these different clubs, their families, different nationalities. If you're in this thing, like I've said, it's all one color. I want them to get involved. I want to see them compete. I want to see them strive, and I want to help them get there, and I want to make them believe, because I was there. The things that I'm very grateful for with all of these people are all my friends. People tell me to this day, Joe, this is your retirement, this is your dream, that you went to heaven, and you shouldn't even be paid, and I have to agree. I work for a great company. Okay, there's a stereotype on lowrider. I think now that lowriders become more commercialized, people are getting the chance to see us on videos, movies. You have to have a good job. You have a lot to lose by having a car that you just spent 5 years and $30,000-$40,000 to build. When you have something of value, you have to take care of it. People, I think, are starting to see that, but the most of us, we want to show off those cars and say, hey man, this is what I built, this is my personality, but you want to really enjoy them and get out there, because that's what the sport is all about. So I'm into that. Whether I'm going to go to the liquor store or I'm going to go get blood pressure pills at CVS, I still like to drive those cars. We're not different. Our cars are different, and that's a cool thing. For a lot of us, it's an art and it's a culture. Once you get involved and you do earn it, it's a way of life. My name is Joe Ray. I'm the chief editor of Lowrider Magazine, and I'm a lowrider role model.